All right, let's dive into the super fast-paced world of badminton. Whether you're totally new to the game or maybe just need a quick refresher on the rules, we're going to break down everything you need to know, literally from the first serve all the way to that championship point. So, when you think of badminton, what comes to mind? Is it just that simple backyard game you play at a picnic? Or is it a sport with a surprisingly complex web of rules? Well, the truth is, it's kind of both. And while those rules might seem a little intimidating at first, don't worry. We're going to simplify everything step by step so you can watch or play like a pro. Okay, first things first, before we even think about hitting that shuttlecock, we have to understand the arena, right? So let's break down the playing field, the badminton court itself. So, a standard court, right? It's exactly 13.4 meters long and 6.1 meters wide. But here's the most crucial thing to remember right off the bat. All those lines you see, they're considered part of the court. So if the shuttlecock lands on the line, it's in, no question. Now, this is probably one of the most confusing things for beginners. The length of the court, that 13.4 meters, it never changes. But the width, that totally depends on whether you're playing singles or doubles. For singles, it's a bit narrower. You're using those inner sidelines. Those little side alleys are out. But for doubles, it's the whole shebang. The entire court width is in play. Okay, let's zoom in on these lines because they're super important. That line close to the net, that's the short service line. Your serve has to go past it to be legal. Now, the big difference, and you got to remember this, is the long service line at the back. In singles, you can serve all the way to the back boundary line, but in doubles, nope. The serve has to land in front of that back line, which makes the service box shorter but wider. Here's a cool little detail that's not on the floor, but actually way up above it. In any official tournament, the ceiling has to be at least 9 meters high. And that makes total sense, right? You need all that space for those super high defensive clears and looping shots so the ceiling doesn't get in the way of the game. All right, we've got the court all mapped out. So now it's time for the tools of the trade. Let's talk about the three essentials: the net, the shuttlecock, and of course, the racket. So, the net. It's stretched super tight right across the middle of the court. It's 1.55 meters high at the posts on the sides, but it actually has this tiny official dip in the center down to 1.524 meters. And believe it or not, that tiny difference is everything. That's exactly where the pros aim for on those delicate net shots, trying to get the shuttle to just barely tumble over the lowest point. Next up, the shuttlecock, or, the birdie. And let me tell you, this is no simple toy. It is a masterpiece of precision engineering. A proper official shuttle has to have exactly 16 feathers, usually from a goose or a duck, and it has to fit into a super tight weight and size range. All of that is to make sure its flight is perfectly consistent and predictable every single time. And of course, the racket. Modern rackets are unbelievably light. We're talking just 80 to 100 grams. That's lighter than a lot of smartphones. But even though they're light, they're strictly regulated. There are maximums for the length and the width of the head, so everyone's playing on a level field. Okay, we've got the court, we've got the gear. Now it's time for what is maybe the single most important moment in any rally, the start. Let's dig into the rules of the serve. So, before a single shuttle is hit, It all begins with a simple coin toss. But here's the interesting part. The winner doesn't just automatically get to serve. They get a choice. They can choose to either serve or receive, or they can choose which side of the court they want to start on. And whatever they pick, the loser just gets the leftover choice. Getting a legal serve down is critical, and there's a checklist of things you absolutely have to do. 1. You have to serve diagonally into the opposite box. 2. Both of your feet have to stay planted on the ground. 3. The entire motion has to be one continuous upward swing. And 4, a big one, you have to hit the shuttle below 1.15 meters. You break any one of these rules, it's a fault, and you lose the point. Simple as that. All right, so which side of the court do you serve from? This is actually super easy to remember because it's all based on your score. If your score is an even number, like 0, 2, 4, and so on, you serve from the right side. If your score is an odd number, 1, 3, 5, you serve from the left. That's it. Even is right, odd is left. So the serve gets the point started, but how do you actually win? Now we're getting into the real heart of the game, the scoring system. The basic structure is really straightforward. A match is just the best of 3 games. To win a game, you have to be the first person to get to 21 points. And whoever wins 2 games first wins the whole match. Pretty simple. But this is where it gets really exciting. If the score gets tied up at 20-20, that's called deuce, you can't win by just 1 point anymore. Now you have to win by a 2-point lead, so the score could be 22-20 or 23-21. The pressure is really on. So you might be wondering, could a game just go on forever if it's tied? Well, no. There's a hard cap. The very first player or team to reach 30 points wins, period, even if it's 30-29. This is sometimes called the golden point, and it makes sure games don't just drag on forever. And of course, players don't just play nonstop. There are a couple of official breaks built in. When the first player in any game hits 11 points, everybody gets a quick 60-second break. Then, between each game, there's a longer 2-minute break to catch your breath and talk strategy. Okay, so we've talked about how to play and how to score. But what about the things you're not allowed to do? Let's get into the stuff that'll lose you the point, the common faults and the penalties. So, a fault is anything that immediately ends the rally and just gives the point to your opponent. The most common ones are the obvious mistakes, right? Hitting the shuttle out of bounds or into the net. Oh, and you can't hit it twice on your side. But here's a huge one to remember. Your body, your clothes, your racket. Nothing can touch the net while the shuttle's in play. Now, every once in a while, a point just gets erased. It's called a let, and it's basically just a do-over. The umpire will call a let if, say, the shuttlecock falls apart in the middle of a rally, or if something from outside interferes with the game. In that case, nobody wins or loses the point. You just reset, and the server serves again. And finally, for any behavior that goes beyond just a simple playing mistake, there's a card system, just like in soccer. A yellow card is your first official warning. If you keep it up, you'll get a red card, which means your opponent automatically gets a point. And for really serious stuff, the umpire can pull out a black card. And that means you're disqualified from the whole tournament. Game over. And there you have it. Those are the core rules of badminton. From the lines on the court to the final point, you now have everything you need to watch or play the game like you know what you're doing. So the only question left for you is, what would you practice first? That raw, explosive power of a killer smash, or the delicate, strategic precision of a perfect serve? It's a tough one, right?